1969, the first Silver Fern Rally was organised in the North Island of New Zealand, based on a successful British RAC rally. Such was the response and popularity of the celebratory event that New Zealand became inextricably linked to the worldwide art of rallying. Internationally, our roads became revered by drivers from every corner of the globe and established the land of the long white cloud as a credible component of the world rally scene. In honour of those humble beginnings, the Silver Fern Rally of 1990 was run under similar rules to the first event, and 16 years later, the 2006 Silver Fern Rally continues the tradition. Top drivers have shipped their cars from around the world to contest this marathon event. Former World Rally Champion Stig Blomqvist heads the lineup, driving Venezuelan co-driver Ana Goni's RS 1800 Escort.
Must say the cars are better those days than it was in the days when I was using them, and the Escort was pretty reliable and it's an easy car to work on. You can change everything quite quickly, so I don't think that should be a problem.
Cars are okay then. What about the drivers?
I think that's the good fun with the whole thing, because they bring the old guys out again and they get the old cars on the road. So I think that's the good thing with all this historic rallying.
From Scotland, one of New Zealand's real friends of rallying, Jimmy McRae, who needs little encouragement to get behind the wheel down under.
We were originally going to run an Escort, but there wasn't going to be ready in time, so Gary suggested we use this. So coming up the road there, when we put the air conditioning on and it was nice and quiet, I thought, well, maybe this is a better idea than an old BD Escort. So it's more for an old man.
Also from the UK, renowned rally car builder David Sutton, finally succumbing to the urge to drive rather than build one of these classic cars.
I've spent the last 40 years building cars for people all over the world, and I thought, well, this is such an adventure type event. I've just come and have a look at the scenery myself, and I cooked the idea up with Francis Tuttle from the Porsche team, and originally there was just the two of us going to come. He was going to bring a car and one mechanic, and I was going to do the same, but it snowballed into a much bigger operation, and between the two of us I think we brought 7 cars.
If the truth were known, I thought it was 6 half days of rallying, and we got 1,400 k's of stages. It turned out to be 6.5 days to fit the 1,400 in, so we were spoofed really. I didn't read the instructions properly.
Tuthill is a veteran of marathon events around the world. His Porsche for this event won the 1993 London-Sydney Marathon.
I just said I would do it initially, and thinking I'd just go and have a quiet run over here because I thought it looked a very good rally. And then next thing, various customers said, oh, I want to come as well. So we ended up with quite a party.
Across the ditch from Australia, Peter Cochrane brings his classic Mustang, another car that has competed in marathon events.
The reason we're here in New Zealand is because there were about 5 or 6 New Zealand entries on that South American event, and they encouraged us to come down here and have a crack. Said this would be a lot better than South America, and so far, trust me, it is.
Keith Callanan is a true blue Aussie, the Holden dealer from Mackay, driving a 700 horsepower HK Holden.
We've done 2 London to Sydneys, and we did a Sweden to Jordan. You really need to obviously preserve the car, but once they go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, you sort of tend to lose most of your race strategy. Sort of goes out the window, but yeah, we'll see how we go. The tactics, Rossi Duncan, who is very well known to the guys over here, indicated that 60% would probably get you through the first couple of days. And mentioned that if I drove just a little bit slower than I do normally going to the supermarket, that'd probably get me there.
From Melbourne, Graham Alexander will be relying on the same reliable Datsun 260Z that took him to 5th in last year's East African Safari.
The car's pretty big. The Escorts are going to be hard to catch in the very tight, twisty stuff. The car's very strong though. So where they're going to be working on the thing, trying to keep them together. Ours we'll be just putting it in park firmo every night.
Winner of the 2004 London-Sydney and Midnight Sun to Red Seas marathons, Joe McAndrew leads the Kiwi Challenge.
Yeah, the car has been built for marathon rallies. It's a lot heavier. It's got a lot of more safety and more endurance type equipment in it to make the car last the distance. So we don't have to repair it, because you haven't got time to repair cars on marathon rallies.
Twice New Zealand and Otago Classic champion Brian Stokes is shoring up his bets with his 1996 Ford RS Cosworth, an invitation entry. The Cantabrian is under no illusion about the challenge ahead.
It's certainly an endurance rally, but on the other hand, you've got to keep your concentration up, so you've got to drive your car, and but then it'll be hazards, I think, that'll be the biggest thing, maybe the Fords or rough roads and things like that, so you've got to respect that, but we're not here to eat cream cakes either.
Former production rally champion Stumpy Holmes is a classic rally man at heart, opting for the best of both, an original Mark II Escort with the reliability of the more modern engine.
Yeah, we've decided to run a ZTEC engine, which is a Mondeo engine or Ford Focus engine. It's a 2-litre. It's stock standard. We feel that maybe this rally is definitely a marathon, and hopefully have no problems with the engine department will get us to the end.
The car with the best history from New Zealand is owned by Robert Murray. 20 years ago, Neil Allport took the main freight RX-7 to the top of the rally tree with a national championship. In 2006, Bert Murray repeated that success, winning the National Classic title.
We're going to take this the same philosophy we just with the championship, just a nice steady pace. The last round of the championship was in Nelson 2 weekends ago, so the car's been completely to bits, everything's been out of it, so hopefully everything will be good.
Another Rotary fanatic is Ewan Fuge. He's been competing in RX3s since 1976 and is likely to feature well this week. And he hasn't changed his attitude to rallying.
Have a sticker on the back, go hard or go home, but I don't know, long way, isn't it? It's a long way, so we'll just see how it goes, find a pace and just try to stick to it. But we haven't got big horsepower, but we've got good usable horsepower, and we've been through the whole car from one end to the other. It's like driving a new one.
And what classic rally would be complete without a classic story? Paul Walbrand's MGB, arguably the last MG to compete in the World Rally Championship.
Well, the driver's coming out of retirement and the car's sort of coming out of retirement, so we're taking it easy.
Andy Walker drove this very MG in 1985 in the Rally of New Zealand and later won the 1990 Silver Fern in an Escort Mexico. Walker returns in 2006 with this same car to defend his title.
This is the old girl that won the last 1990 Silver Fern. It's a Escort Mexico, which was what the sort of regulations were designed for the last event. When they announced this event, we started trying to build ourselves a more competitive RS 1600, but we found the hours are a little bit shorter than they used to be, and we ran out of time to get it finished, so we've had to revert to the old girl.
So what are your plans for the rally? How are you going to approach it?
Pretty much like we approached the last one, really. We're going to drive at our own pace that we're comfortable at, vary that up and down a bit according to the road conditions, and just do the best we can and have lots of fun.
Marathons have evolved from the long days of competition and the continued use of rally cars that have now become classics. Along with the drivers, from an era and an approach to rallying where finishing was as important as winning, has emerged a discipline that is finding enthusiastic support from those who cut their teeth on the national and international circuits. The Silver Fern Rally follows this tradition and much of the route. Starting in Blenheim, the rally will head south to Greymouth via the Molesworth before retracing its steps across Arthur's Pass and down to the Southern Lakes through the Mackenzie Basin. Dunedin will provide a rest day before the rally heads north through Waitaki and Canterbury and back to the Nelson-Marlborough region. 7 days after it leaves the wine-growing capital of New Zealand, the rally returns to Blenheim. But all this starts after 3 prologue stages at the most northerly parts of the South Island. Here we start to see some of the magnificent scenery most New Zealanders take for granted. From the wide open low-lying roads of coastal beaches like Robin Hood Bay to the tight twisting roads of the mountain ranges of Danzi's Pass. This event will provide a variety of roads and scenery like few other countries in the world. Dawson Marshall is another Kiwi who's travelled the world marathon scene, competing most recently in the Carrera Sudamericana. For him, the objective is simple.
The tactics have really got to be stay on the road, keep it together, and try and win by attrition. I don't think we're ever going to match the Porsches or the BDA Escorts on an even playing ground. So we just got to go for what we can do. We're here to have fun, and we're going to do so.
These Prologue special stages are no different to the main rally, and teams use them to settle the cars and their nerves for what will undoubtedly be an arduous week ahead. If you're going to have a mechanical problem this week, now's the time to have it. But there is no excuse for crashing today because the marathon hasn't actually started.
We caught the car in front, and in the dust I just couldn't quite see properly. Got slightly offline, just cut the corner a bit fine, put a wheel in a hole on the inside of the corner, and it just pulled us left and straight into the tree. Yeah. So yeah, not the start we were looking for, but it's the way it goes.
Yeah. And to prove 13 can be unlucky for some, Graham Alexander's famous last words are coming back to haunt him already. Something about not having to work on the car and just being able to put it in parc fermé each night.
We just come around this corner, it got out a bit wide on the loose stuff, and I just lost it. Well, we went into a drain and hit the bank and went onto its side. The car's all right today. Probably the driver's confidence is not red hot.
Jeff Torkington didn't crash his MR2, but he did have trouble keeping things together. A wheel parting company with the car.
Broke the studs off, all four. Wheel's gone over the bank, can't find it. Fortunately, it was only an old tyre. So we're trying to get to P3 so that we can at least get a time for the Prologue. But at the moment, we may or may not get there in time.
While Prologue doesn't count toward the rally times, this is where race strategy comes into play. The faster your time in Prologue, the nearer the front of the field you're positioned. The first car mightn't have dust to deal with, but they do have to sweep the road of loose gravel, and many of the fancy drivers are happier to contend with dust and have a road swept by the preceding cars. Co-driver Stuart Jenkinson, concerned by the quick pace of their RX-7, takes matters into his own hands, hauling on the handbrake, ensuring they use up valuable time so as not to be the first car away in the morning. Driver Bert Murray might not be happy with being overruled by his co-driver so early in the rally, but we're sure Main Freight won't be too unhappy with the result, right in front of the camera. 97 Group A rally champion Brian Green is looking for a good start tomorrow, but is under no misapprehension about just how difficult the task ahead is.
So the overall plan's to obviously finish, and then secondly to finish as high as we possibly can. We've been held up a little bit today in the dust. We caught one car in 7k in the first stage, and we caught one in the third stage in 3 kilometres. So obviously we've got the speed there, but we just want to make sure tomorrow we get a reasonable start order, and then we should be pretty right. But certainly under no illusion whatsoever, it's going to be a long, long way to get a car to go to, and it's also going to be a long, long way for the old driver to do as well.
If Special Stage 1 is an omen for things to come, there will be plenty of time to take in the scenery. The 60-kilometre Molesworth stage, cutting through the high country sheep station of the same name, is downgraded after organisers are unable to guarantee the safety of competitors in one of the most remote parts of the South Island in the dry, dusty conditions. Despite the precautions, the dust is so severe, Kiwi Mike Roach runs his car into the back of one of the Aussie ducked Escorts. Both do continue rallying, but their scars will remain for the rest of the marathon, and certainly do little to strengthen relations between the two sporting rival nations. The quickest man in Prologue, Brian Stokes, makes short work of the second stage on the lower section of the Molesworth track, leading down into the resort town of Hanmer, and set against a backdrop of the snow-covered peaks of the Spencer Ranges.
Oh, it was just an amazing piece of road. Pretty exciting, actually. Nice sweeping bends, and yeah, it was a great run. No, we're just driving our own speed, and you know, I'd have to say I really enjoyed driving that one. It was just excellent.
A sentiment shared by a man who has rallied most continents of the globe, Francis Tuthill.
Oh, they're fantastic. I mean, just mile after mile of fantastic roads. I mean, the thing is that your country is prepared to close these wonderful roads, and it's so rare in the world. Certainly in Europe now, it's becoming more and more difficult. And so it's a tremendous privilege to be able to use your regular public roads.
And the privilege is not taken lightly. Drivers like Tuthill relishing the chance to slide their classic cars anytime and any place. Not everyone handles the corners so well. Sydney's Jeff David oversteering his Porsche, but with little consequence. Jim Wallace is an experienced tarmac rally driver, but is on his first excursion on dirt in an ex-Carlos Sainz Reki Celica GT4.
I think it's a crackerjack little car, but it's got a turbo with a bit of lag on it, and I think
that's what might have been?
No, probably not. I was probably just going a bit hard. Good lesson, isn't it? We'll slow down a bit. I should know at my age.
From Hanmer Springs, it's back over the mountains and on toward Greymouth. Frenchman Paul-Eric Jarry is a long way from home in the southern Alps of New Zealand. There's been no rain yet on the Silver Fern, but plenty of water nonetheless. Kiwi Mike Roach is still suffering the after effects of running into Australian John Hills. Neil G's sponsor, Water Accessories, might be rethinking their sponsorship deal after the Mark 1 Escort fails to make the water crossing. The early pace setter is a bit of a surprise, not one of the overseas entries, or even a high-profile Kiwi. In fact, it's Nelson's Gary Adcock in the V8-powered TR7. He's 18 seconds quicker than the next car in Special Stage 2 and is quickest in 2 more stages throughout the day. But not everything has been going his way.
Oh, I don't think I'll be leading still. I've had no clutch for that stage.
Really? How much time do you think you've lost?
Oh, we blew a bit with a overshoot, an intersection in the last stage before as well, so we would have lost probably 30 seconds there with a stall and couldn't start. And then this time the clutch has stopped working, so we just jammed it in 4th gear and drove it to here. But yeah, it will be still in the top 5, I suppose, which is good.
In fact, Gary finishes the day in 3rd spot, including a 30-second penalty for missing a check-in. And with just 5 seconds to spare, he avoids a second penalty, making Parc Fermé for the night. For some, it's a slow start to the longest day of the marathon. Nice. Greymouth to Queenstown via Arthur's Pass and down through the Mackenzie Basin. Overnight leader Brian Stokes is relishing the chance to drive on home soil.
It's hard to believe it's only still really just the start of the rally.
800 k's today, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of touring, and we are sort of covering a fair bit of country, all right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let Mark drive there and have a rest while that's happening. That's our plan, so touch wood and everything keeps going good. Thank you.
Good luck.
Not all the marathon is about racing. The touring sections between each competition's special stages are a chance for some drivers to catch up on lost sleep. For others, it's a chance to take in the view. After all, this is as much an excuse for a holiday as to compete in just another rally. At 70, Harry Dodd has made the trip down under with his beloved Porsche for the first time and hasn't regretted the decision for a minute.
We thought, well, we'll come to New Zealand, and I'm so pleased. I mean, the island is wonderful. I think the English have got a lot to learn. I mean, the people are phenomenal, and I'm considering coming out here permanently. I've got to persuade the wife yet, though.
It's a transport stage from one side of the South Island to the other. In reality, the trip has only ever been 3 hours from coast to coast, including climbing up and over Arthur's Pass. These days, the viaduct makes the trip quicker and easier. Special Stage 11 runs through the Korowai Tussockland Park. Brent Rawstron in the Alistair Gilmore-built Porsche is one competitor who's not here for the view.
We want to be the first Porsche home. We obviously would like a class win. In reality, I'm probably more interested in that than necessarily just driving to the finish. You know, I've been there, done that. I've done lots of long distance rallies. We're here to get a good result, so that's what we're here for.
In his heyday, Stig Blomqvist contested rallies all over the world. The champion driver bringing home trophies from all corners of the globe, including a world title. In retirement, his time is now spent divided between his native Sweden and here, New Zealand. But the lure of driving classic cars in classic events like this is never far away.
Nice to see this condition here, but okay, it has been a bit of everything actually. So we have had snow and ice and nice sunshine and nice, fantastic gravel roads.
A little closer to home, Duncan McCrosty had been learning pace noting, specifically for this event. The last-minute change, though, dropping the notes in favour of the drive the road as you see it on basic safety tulips, may not have benefited the Dunedinite. Former two-wheel drive rally champion Dave Strong has his strong Honda Type R on the pace and is close to the top 10 in the early stages. He's been staying in touch with the leaders until now, the sharp crushed mountain gravel playing havoc with some of the softer compound tyres. A puncture here halting his progress. Scotsman Jimmy McRae has close links to the rally fraternity in New Zealand. His close friend and regular co-driver in Gary Smith gave his now famous son Colin his first break in the 1989 Rally of New Zealand. Rallying here is a lot like his home. Certainly much of the mountain backdrop could be anywhere in Scotland, but perhaps he's getting just a little too close to the scenery.
Every crest I've treated with respect, except that one. And I don't know, something just pulled me in, and I braked in the loose gravel, and I thought, no way I'm going to make this. So unfortunately, I did a bit of damage to the farmer's fence.
The car's okay though?
We found the gate and got back out the field all right.
No problems though. It's not his car, so why worry? Well, actually, it's Gary's, and yes, that's him opening the farmer's gate. Wonder what the conversation will be when they get back on track.
Big problem that I have is that it's his car I'm driving, and you know, we go through a bump a bit quick, you hear him groaning, but you don't know whether he's groaning because he's knocked the wind out himself or he feels his wallet's getting depleted.
Going off the road here is relatively safe. Further on, in two special stages that run from high up in the Albury and Grampian ranges, the options are not so great. The This is one stage drivers will talk about for many years to come.
That was just something else, just really, really unreal, and hope we don't have to go back over it again. We saw your TV crew out there and on the edge of the cliff face there, and to be honest with you, I was too busy worrying about putting the new car into the drink there, so we just cruised through there.
Just a really amazing feeling driving through there, and you can just see the height of it and where you are, and the road's so narrow and so twisty that you've got to hang a wheel over every now and then, and I was just going, wow, this is just bloody amazing, and just trying to be cautious, but still having some fun. And I was actually born, it's real rally, tough rally stuff, that one.
That stage by the lake was just amazing.
Weren't worried about those drops at all. You just close your eyes and pretend they weren't there.
No, I look at the road. Don't look where you don't want to go.
But not everyone was quite so enthusiastic.
Shouldn't have been in the rally. Cost us about 15 spots, I think.
Right.
But no, everybody else did it as well. So, but I can tell you, I was absolutely petrified. Totally, utterly petrified. Oh, mate. I will never, ever, ever go down that mountain again. Ever!
In 1977, they did it at night in the snow, and I believe my father told me that Steve Millen passed 3 cars that night in that stage. So, you got to take your hat off to back in the 70s. They just were very brave guys, and we've been spoilt with turbo vehicles and very soft, so it's nice to be back in a Mark II Escort and having some fun.
Out of the mountains and back on the relative safety of farm country roads, the Silver Fern heads on through the Lindis Valley to Tarras. In 2 months' time, much of central Otago will be sweltering in the heat. Beautiful summer days will bring temperatures well into the 30s. The ski season might have officially ended for this year, but right now winter looks like it hasn't been given notice. Cardrona was to be the final special stage of the day, but with fading light, the falling snow put paid to that. All that was left of this dash down through the south from Greymouth was the run into Queenstown to Parc Fermé, and by then the light had faded completely. For some, the end of the day could not have come soon enough.
Some damage to the front of the car here, looks like a flat tyre.
Yes, we had got a flat tyre on one stage there today, and we had to drive about 10k on that to get out of the stage, so unfortunately it did quite a lot of damage to the panel work, but it's nothing serious. But it's just one of those things. It was just a shame actually, because we had caught the 2 cars ahead of us, had them right in front when we got it, and it would have given us a really good time. But I'm not quite sure where we'll end up overall right at this minute, but hopefully with some good stage times we have done today, we should still be in quite a good spot for the morning.
The overnight snow was an ominous sign for the 3rd day through to Dunedin. The direct route would be no problem, but again, the Silver Fern Rally headed back into the hills. The first stage, Nevis Valley, is cancelled due to the rising level of water and the numerous fords that cross the road. SS18, Hawkburn Road, climbs through the backcountry from Bannockburn to Clyde, with stages reminiscent of many of the great classic rallies of the world. Overnight leader Brian Stokes paves the way for the rally with Gary Adcock hot on his trail. The distinct tone of his V8 TR7 Triumph in stark contrast to the more modern turbo 4-cylinder of Stokes. Stig Blomqvist is the first of the classic escorts, driven in the manner that earned them such worldwide recognition. Joe McAndrew can be forgiven for thinking he's back in the Sudamericana and charges forward a full minute shy of the Swede. The second classic escort, in the capable hands of Stumpy Holmes, with its updated and hopefully more reliable power plant, is equal to the task and exceptionally well presented. Scotsman Jimmy McRae, better known for his exploits in Vauxhall Chevettes, has gathered up the reins of the Integra R and pushes on, holding a hard-charging Porsche behind. Brent Rawstrom declared his intention to challenge the leaders, and already this morning he's hauled in David Owen and Bert Murray. Chris Barnett started out well on day one in his RX-7 and at one point was in the top 3. But misjudging a corner changed all that.
We did both front struts, got replaced, bumper, front guards. Yeah, there was plenty of work for the guys to do. So, guys from All Track did a superb job yesterday getting the car back together, and yeah, it took me a wee bit to settle in, but it's all back on track.
With a DNF, his start was dead last yesterday, and the day was spent catching up, racing back through the slower part of the field.
Today I think we're in 24th place, so from 63 up to 24, I'm quite happy with that.
Bert Murray in the other RX-7 slipped the place overnight, but is still in touch in a car with some real history. He won the New Zealand Classic Series in 2006, 20 years after Neil Allport took the same car to victory in the National Rally Championship. Remarkably, the other side of the Dunstan Mountains is in stark contrast to the first cancelled morning stage. The clouds linger ominously, but the road is dry and dusty.
Saying right, and actually what made it authentic, because just before we get there there's a bend sign and it was bent to the right with a little street going off, the little one going off the left. So I just clicked in and went to set it up for the right, and as soon as we came over the right it went left. And so we went down into the grass and whatever and got back on the road.
The hills around central Otago are as rich in history as they were in gold over a century ago. Much of the region was settled by English and Chinese, eager to exploit the rush of precious metal. In places, the boom went as quickly as it arrived, leaving ugly scars behind on the landscape. But this is all part of the unique history of the area. Tiny St Bathans is one such hamlet that has benefited from this very fact. Much of the small community has been restored and preserved to give a glimpse of its prosperous beginnings. Nearby Blue Lake was created entirely from the sluicing, where hundreds of thousands of litres of water blasted away a mountainside to filter out gold. Long after the mining operations ceased, the remnants lie wasted at the water's edge. The lake, a permanent reminder of what man can do to nature. Appropriately, there's even a classic car. It too, somewhat worse for wear. Heading further into the mountains, the rally winds up around the base of St Bathans Range, snow highlighting the road ahead for nearly 30 kilometres of special stage.
Up there, it goes K right through that fence. Okay. K right. Oh no! Oh, you okay?
Yes, mate. How are you?
I'm okay.
I'm okay. I can't get out though.
You got it under your belt. Okay.
I got the door open.
Okay. You got the door open?
Yeah.
Oh, I think we just came through a bit fast and got into the rough stuff on the outside and ended up roof down in the creek there. Not a very good outcome. Wheels up. It's not the right way to be.
Despite extensive panel damage, Jeff David's Porsche will continue.
Just spent some time pulling the panels away from the wheels and it runs.
Continue on?
Well, we certainly hope so. That's the intention. Yeah. It's too much fun not to.
Once again, weather dictates. Another long stage is downgraded for the safety of cars. At over 90k, this is the longest stage of the marathon and is a bitter disappointment for many. But the wisdom of the organisers is vindicated when at least 2 cars slip off the road, even while transporting this stage. The worst, Stumpy Holmes, who rolls his immaculate Ford Escort. A bitterly disappointed Holmes heads straight to Dunedin to effect repairs in readiness for the second part of the rally. But the show must go on for the rest. And so too does the snow, the most significant falls so far across Mahanarangi. If driving in these conditions isn't enough, there's a tricky left-hander after a crest that's going to catch out some of the more unsuspecting competitors. Over the crest, a farmer's drive continues up the hill, and with all the snow, it's easy to make the mistake. And Dave Strong is one of the first to take the detour, but he's definitely not the last. Parsons' TR7 has a close call.
I really thought we were going to drop a wheel in the hole, and that would have been all bad news, but I think we might have given the cameraman a bit of a fright, but we were having trouble seeing out the windscreen. And you come down a section like that, and obviously you've got to really concentrate on things like, hazards like the hole and that. You just get a bit distracted, like trying to clear the screen or something like that, and your mind's off the game for a moment. You can make a mistake, and we got away with that one. We were lucky. It's been much more than a rally. It's been an adventure. I mean, we've not been up in snow before, and actually rallying in snow with it, that's fantastic. A bit scary, like it's something new, but we've had a fantastic day. That's rallying. Great.
At this level of competition, regardless of any talk of winning a class or being the first of your make home, camaraderie rides above everything else. In this discipline of rallying, the pressure is on, but nothing like it is in current national and world championships. Little wonder it attracts competitors from all over the world.
We passed Fern in the stage before, the long one before, and then towed him for 18k out of the stage. And I said, "You owe me a beer at the end." He said, "You're dead right." He said, "That was brilliant." He said, "I got such a wonderful tow." So I'm looking forward to the beer tonight.
As they say, it isn't over until it's over. And for Don Ruby, it's over. And out, down into the snow-fed waters of the Waipori River, just 400 metres shy of the finish. Ruby's very wet day in the rain and snow just got wetter.
Come off from 2 wheels here, been sideways here, and then just tipped and then rolled over, landed in the river facing forwards on 4 wheels, but then floated down and spun within the flow of the water. At least that's what the co-driver said, and then it was a matter of waiting till the water got high enough inside to open the doors and then trying to get out.
Very lucky.
Very, very lucky. Very cold, a little bit shocked, but they will live to run again if they can dry their computers out.
Results at the halfway stage see Brian Stokes leading from Stig Blomqvist by more than 4.5 minutes. 4 minutes separate the Honda Integra Rs of Joe McAndrew and Jimmy McRae, while David Owens leads a group of drivers spaced about a minute and a half apart each. Grant Shand is almost 19 minutes behind the rally leader, while Gary Adcock is in 9th. Dave Strong completes the top 10 as crews prepare for a lay day in the Scottish capital of the south. Dunedin hosts the Silver Fern Rally for its day of rest. After the rigours of the first 3 days of rallying, many crews are by now crying out to work on their cars. The rough roads and harsh weather conditions have taken a toll on many, and there is a need to rejuvenate some for the second half of the marathon. Stumpy Holmes must be the most distraught of anyone repairing cars, his off coming in a non-competitive part of the rally.
We had a bit of a mishap through the 91 kilometre stage where we had to tour through. The stage was unfortunately cancelled because it was too dangerous, and the organisers sent us through, and about 11.5 k's from the end we come through a snowstorm. It was really, really bad. Visibility was horrible, and unfortunately our front tyres filled up with snow, and we sailed off the edge of a little left-hander, and we thought we were going to stay for a while, and then it just slowly rocked, and away we went. We rolled 6 times down this gully on tussock grass and snow, and yeah, we were a bit dumbfounded.
Fortunately, the once immaculate Escort has been beaten back into shape by an enthusiast panel beater, and it sure looks remarkably straight. They don't make cars like this anymore. That said, there are plenty needing TLC, and workshops scattered all across Dunedin are full of rally cars in various states of repair. David Campion is accustomed to handling the logistics of running rally cars on the world stage. He currently manages ProDrive's privateer teams in the WRC.
WRC these days is relatively boring compared with this. You park it all up, you lay it all out, and off you go. You might as well be at home. At least we get to see this wonderful countryside here with this operation.
In the Silver Fern Rally, Campion is looking after both Stig Blomqvist and team owner David Sutton, who after 40 years of building other people's rally cars, decided it was time to pull on the driving gloves himself.
I said to the mechanics, right, now we need a car for the old man to drive, put it together, and it's terrific.
It's a bit like a busman's holiday, because I do work in the World Championship arena for the most of my time, but I do these because I find it more challenging as working logistics out, trying to manage a team in terms of where it is at any one time and what it's got to do. For me, it's far more interesting than doing the logistics for a World Championship team.
Ian Freestone's Mark I Escort is probably one of the rarest in this event, previously being owned and driven by one of rallying's royal family, the Clarks. But that fact had little bearing on Freestone's reason for purchase.
It attracted me to it in that it was a fantastically well-built car. I'm not too worried that, you know, I think other people are more interested in the fact that, say, Roger drove it. That isn't an issue. The fact that it was so well built was the attraction. The car was built by Ollie and Matt Clark, who are the sons of Roger Clark. It was built for Silverstone Circuit as a sort of demonstration stroke teaching car. They used it quite lightly for about 2 or 3 years. I think it's quite feasible that it's the last Mark I Escort that Roger actually drove, not in competition but actually sat in. I then bought it from Silverstone Circuit and used it on international marathon events. It's also been used for the British Historic Classic Championship, which it won.
Silver Fern Rally competitor Richard Bethune is pleased to be home in Dunedin to effect repairs to his own Escort. Not surprisingly, the rally enthusiast's extensive compliance workshop is in high demand today. But does he have job cards for them all?
I really don't know, actually, because they have all just arrived unannounced. There's probably 6, I think, 6 or 7. And there's been 4 or 5 in and out already, and there's 2 or 3 coming after lunch. So, yeah, there's a few.
I hear the books were closed for today.
Yes, the instruction was book no work in for the day, we're going to be busy elsewhere.
Elsewhere in Dunedin, drivers and co-drivers are attending another compulsory event, this time without their wheels. It's designed to give teams a chance to relax and catch up. And given the climate of the last 2 days, the temperature shouldn't be an issue. A couple of the internationals, Stig Blomqvist and Jimmy McRae, seem to be right at home and are amazed by the terrain.
Just said to Gary that yesterday the typical stages of Argentina, over the top of the mountains and the rocks sticking out. Then there are other stages that are typically Finland stages, and it's just been right through. And there's typical stages of Sweden as well with the snow. It's just a shame yesterday because the weather did ruin the long stages. I think everybody was really wanting to go at the 90k stage. It's a shame that did happen, but it just shows you've got every type of terrain here and every type of weather condition as well. That it's obviously ideal for rallying.
For now, though, curling is the name of the game, and McRae and Smith try their hand at the unusual winter sport.
Just a wee bit too much to the left.
Day 4 of the Silver Fern Rally starts just north of Dunedin, near Karatane.
Well, what's the plan, Brian? Oh, just more of the same. I think it's easy to forget we're only halfway through this rally.
As expected, Brian Stokes continues where he left off, leading from Stig Blomqvist. But the surprise of the day is David Owen and Paul Lindsay in the escort, only 3 seconds behind the leaders. But just half an hour before the stage start, things were not so rosy.
It appears as though yesterday on the rest day someone's taken a heater hose off and forgot to put the clip back on when they replaced the hose. So climbing the hill out of Dunedin, it's basically pumped all its water out and appears to have blown a head gasket.
But it was all in vain, Owen and Lindsay crashing out on the very next stage. Nelson Marshall in the V6 Capri is only 1 second slower than Owen's time. While Chris Barnett is next, making up for his earlier indiscretion and continuing to post fast times. Down the back of the pack, Paul and Andrew Walbrand are still trundling along in their trusty little MGB. They aren't last thanks to others breaking down and having to catch up again. It's the classic tortoise and the hare tail, but the MGB is destined for this end of the Silver Fern Rally. Next stage, Ram Rock, Stokes opens an enormous gap on the field, 1 minute 35 seconds quicker than Blomqvist. Jimmy McRae hasn't had the best of starts to the day, but is still outright fourth.
If we get through this, it'll be the longest of the rally so far, 7Ks, so I'm looking forward to it. With a couple of moments in that the gravel in the last stage, and it was only 7Ks, so 7 times 10 is 70. We could have 70 moments.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ramming this tree in the Ram Rock special stage means McRae's rally is run. Grant Shane from the UK has been handling the borrowed escort exceptionally well, and with some guidance from the respected driver and co-driver Jeff Judd, this pair will turn in some good times. Today, though, they bow to some superior speed as everyone heads west to Middlemarch before returning to the coast along stage 28. There would be few prizes for guessing why this special stage is known as Golden Bar. The huge mine alongside the rally route is a sign of just how things have changed over the last century. Gone are the rather random sluicing methods used to blast away the rock, exposing the precious yellow metal. In its place, the systematic and methodical approach of modern open-cast mining. The rally route runs along the ridge of the open-cast mine and is flanked by a mining service road in somewhat better condition than the rally route itself. Stokes is consistently quicker than everyone else, but Gary Adcock in the TR7 is right on his tail this stage. Stig Blomqvist and Joe McAndrew are right there too, and Ian Freestone's ex-Clark RS2000 is flying today as well, 5th quickest. Duncan McCrosty has wound up the boost on his Nissan Bluebird in a bid to chase down the leaders on the wide open stretches. Distance is kind to Stumpy's car. The telltale signs of his multiple roll 2 days ago hardly visible as he powers the 2-litre Z-Tech Escort along the ridge.
Now that was fast and flowing in Thousand Lakes, New Zealand. It was unreal, just coming up over those crests with a little bit of lightness and sideways, it was cool.
Francis Tuthill comes to grief in the latter part of SS28 and is relieved to be at the end of the stage, despite dropping 6 minutes on the leaders.
Yes. And how'd you do this?
Well, I hit the post.
Okay. In this stage?
Sorry?
In this stage?
This stage.
This stage?
Oh, yes. No, we had a bit of an off and lucky to get away with it.
Like most of this region, Danzy's Pass Hotel was established at the height of the gold rush in the 1870s. At 700 metres above sea level, Danzy's Pass is the old link between Central Otago and the Waitaki Valley. It survives today thanks to the restored historical hotel and is another reminder of the colourful history of this region. By Tokarahi, there's plenty of dust in the air. Bert Murray's Group B is as genuine as they come. Aside the obvious slippery conditions, the RX-7 is fast filling with dust and there's nothing he can do about it.
Oh, horrendous. Absolutely horrendous, but beautiful bit of road. I'll give you a down the order a bit, it would just be magnificent, but geez, there's just no grip and dusty, man.
Yeah, well, there's signs inside of the cars, there's a lot of dust getting in here.
Oh, yeah, it's not like a modern car, no roof vent or anything, it hasn't got any door sealing, all fiberglass doors, it's a proper Group B car and it just fills up with dust, mate. Hey, Bogger?
Dusty, mate.
The last couple of stages for the day are in contrast to the previous in the snow mountains and certainly gets a thumbs up from all the drivers. Everyone finishes the day on a high. Sean Bryce from New Plymouth relegated to the end of a rope after an engine failure. John Kershaw and wife Jane Buckman are racing against the clock. Parc Fermé is 150 kilometres away and they have as many minutes to get there.
When we arrived at the beginning of the last stage, we found that the clutch had failed. We put fluid in it and it just pumped it straight out. So we did that stage with no clutch and we've toured to here and now they've taken the gearbox out in the drive shaft and they're changing the clutch and hopefully we'll be on our way shortly.
Okay. Kershaw wastes little time getting on the road.
Yeah, it's a struggle to get to Christchurch without getting time penalties. And we've had a great day, so the last thing we want is time penalties.
Kershaw wastes little time getting on the road bound for the overnight stop. Whether he makes it in time remains to be seen, but in his wake is a rest stop full of tools that must be packed away by an ever-loyal support crew.
You know, I'm a company director in real life, and so this is a holiday, unbelievably. Take a week off my business to come down to do this, and I'm doing it purely for fun. Like everybody in this, I've got a motor racing or motoring background, and I'm just doing it for the sheer hell of doing it, to be honest. So this is good. The important thing is that the car gets back there, and if that happens, if the thing gets back to the Parc Fermé in time, then we've done our job.
Sleep deprivation is a concern for all teams on a marathon. The long days have been exhausting, crews taking any chance they can to catch up on lost sleep.
Well, I think we're all pretty tired. All the crews are about shattered, really. They've been, getting to bed at midnight and up at 5 in the morning. It's I haven't done a marathon before, but man, if they're like this, I don't know if I'll do another one. Is this everything you expected this rally to be?
It's more than I expected it to be. I think it's wonderful. I think it's a pity some of the stages were cancelled. I was looking forward to that snowy one being competitive. But my favourite stage of all was yesterday, the forestry one.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the stages. I love the country.
So you're probably getting to see a lot more of the countryside with stickers.
Yes, for sure. Yes, it's beautiful. Interesting to be back.
Do you normally have pace notes on the classic?
I normally have pace notes on classics, yes.
So this must be quite relaxing for you.
Well, it's never relaxing. No, it's worse because pace notes gives you something to do. If not, you watch out too much for drops and things like that, which you shouldn't do. So we don't have pace notes in Africa, but this is the only other. And in England, you have the RAC, but with maps. You have no decent maps in this country, I'm sorry. So I can't read off a map, so it is a bit of something different, yeah.
Special Stage 35 climbs up from the North Canterbury Plains onto the Lowry Peaks Range. The Southern Alps in the distance continue to follow the rally as it moves further north back to Blenheim. The view from here is breathtaking, but then so is the way some of these guys attack the hairpin.
Flew off the side of the road and down a bank through all the rocks and the bushes, and were able, luckily, to regain the road at the bottom end of the hill. The trouble with a rally car is you can't drive it at half speed. You're either paying attention and getting on with it, or the car's not comfortable, and then you're at risk then. So you push on, really, and I suppose you might, if you saw something really horrible, you might just slow for a few yards, but otherwise, you've got to press on.
So what's your plan now for the rest of the rally?
Settle the damn thing down and behave.
While Francis Tuttle is licking his wounds, the rally continues through some of the wealthiest farming country in North Canterbury. The small coastal town of Cheviot, 150 k's north of Christchurch, turns into an open-air workshop, crews frantically effecting repairs after the Lowry Peak stages and drivers chancing the local fair. The rally moves north, on past the whale-watching home of Kaikoura. Nothing in sight today, but a couple of brave surfers and a handful of fur seals. Once known as the tobacco-growing capital of New Zealand, today this region boasts some of the finest white wines in the world. If the secret to its success is the temperate climate of the region, we can only hope the impending dust from 70 rally cars in full flight won't alter the texture too greatly. The penultimate day of the Silver Fern Rally is not one Gary Adcock will forget. After successfully matching the pace of far more sophisticated rally cars, his TR7 V8 bursts into flames near the end of the day. Help is only a minute away, but with your car ablaze, it's the longest minute of the rally.
Yeah, I guess from hero to zero pretty quickly. We had a little crack in the exhaust extractors, and that must have been the ignition spark coming out of there under backfire, and the fuel regulator, the top came loose a wee bit, sprayed a bit of fuel out we think, and caused a small fire under the bonnet, and that melted cable ties and cables and things dropped onto the exhaust pipes, and then it all went up in a big way.
Yes, it was a fairly large fire there for a minute.
Yeah, lucky all the safety systems and the rally procedure worked. The cars behind us stopped, and we took 3 fire extinguishers to get it under control. But once that happened, and we didn't hold the stage up at all.
What were you thinking?
I was just thinking about getting the fire out, really. That was the first thought.
The rest of the day is uneventful, but the consensus is positive.
Strange old day. The first stage really tight, rough and hard. Then just finish off with 3 little blasts of magic.
Quite pleasant actually, just to have some little short ones just to go on a bit of a hoon, to be honest.
Oh, one day to go.
Yes. Well, after your dramas last night, you must be pleased to be here.
Yeah, we are. We've had more today. Yeah, more today. We've had the gearbox in and out. Ooh, I've lost count. 3 times, I think. And we're nursing this one. Yeah, fingers crossed.
So
tomorrow.
Still 132 k's to go tomorrow.
Yep.
You confident you can
Carefully.
make it?
132 careful k's. Yeah, we are. Yep. Yeah, we are. We've still got our eyes on the top 10.
And tomorrow will be actually quite interesting because it's quite rough over there apparently. So it'll be just interesting to see how we all have to play it. Whether there's big enough gaps now to take it easy. No, it's never a big enough gap to take it easy. Never big enough.
Like every day on the marathon, the Silver Fern Rally is up again before the sun for the final day. After a marathon effort of nearly 1,400 special competition kilometres, service crews are still working round the clock to ensure cars make the finish line.
Yeah, the guys did a gearbox change last night because it was just really sticky between that 3rd and 4th gear, so we just did it for insurance really, and they were pretty keen to do it. They just wanted to make sure the car was running spot on, and so I've got to do it for them now and just bring the baby home, and we're happy where we're sitting at the moment, and the car feels good, so let's just keep driving and having fun.
It's been a long week, and for some, the strain is beginning to show.
You can't even explain to people how hard it's been. You know, service crews have been up at 4:30 every morning, not finishing till 12 o'clock. And then there's the time before the rally when you're getting everything ready. It's been a marathon event.
The Silver Fern has dragged many classic cars and drivers out of the woodwork, and not all of them are behind the wheel.
It's a bit short though. Why?
Neil Allport's exploits in the New Zealand rally scene are legendary. On this event, he's been keeping an eye on Greg Gowdy, having rebuilt his Mark I Escort specifically for this event. Another blast from the past who's not behind the wheel this week is Mike Marshall, out here to offer assistance to his youngest son, Nick.
Well, I'm surprised that these old cars are so competitive. Most of them have got at least 200 horsepower, and the suspension geometry mightn't be what a modern car has, but on the bumpy, rough roads, the geometry doesn't mean a lot. As long as it's strong and it's got a bit of power, you'll do the job. Yeah, well, Nick's the youngest of three sons, and they've all had to go at rallying. He's very, very passionate about it, so it's good that I can support him.
Take information from everyone and then decide what you think is a good idea and, you know, work with that information.
They never listen. Oh, they do sometimes, but not always. Well, the thing that surprised me most is all the grey-haired guys servicing. I mean, I expected a few grey-haired guys driving, but the grey-haired guy servicing is a bit of a surprise.
3, 2, 1!
For the organisers, the week has not been without its challenges, but the end result has been worth the effort.
Can't avoid the weather changes, like some of the things that's happened, the weather has been incredible. We're very fortunate to be able to get the event through this year, considering the winter that we've had in the South Island, which has devastated so much of the area and been very, very hard on all our people in the South Island, residents and our competitors and officials. So to be able to still get it through after that year, we're pretty pleased.
Keith Callinan's week has been a mixed blessing. His powerful Holden Monaro has provided more than a few problems this event, and despite a good start today, again, he's watching from the sidelines.
I broke another spring, which is the third one for the event. Never broken one before in our lives, 3 in New Zealand.
The roads?
But honestly, don't know. Like, it's very unusual. It's not all that rough. Sorry, can't answer the question. It's mechanical. The countryside's just absolutely unbelievably great. As a total package, you know, there were things that just didn't suit Monaro at all, but other stretches of road that you just don't get anywhere else. We've rallied all over the world and haven't seen roads as good as these. But they're just fantastic.
All that's left is a couple of stages on the other side of the Richmond Range in the Wairoa Valley. David Carr and Rob Cope-Williams can't wait to get to the finish. Oh dear, I think this is one of those moments they'll want to forget. In the end, the top 10 results reflect a cross-section of makes and models, ages and styles that makes marathons so unique. Grant Shand from the UK, 7th fastest home in a time of 12 hours, 1 minute and 13 seconds in a borrowed RS 1800 with Christchurch's Jeff Judd alongside, pointing the way. Dave Strong and Brett Thompson's Honda is 2 minutes 34 seconds in front for 6th in a Type R Honda Civic. Brent Rawstron and Ian McKee get their wish, the first Porsche home in a time of 11 hours, 55 minutes and 57 seconds. Bert Murray and Stu Jenkinson bring the classic main freight RX-7 home in 4th, 11 hours, 49 minutes and 52 seconds. 3rd place is Joe McAndrew in a Honda Integra Type R with Murray Cole riding shotgun. Their total elapsed time, 11 hours, 31 minutes, 18 seconds. The master himself, Stig Blomqvist, driving Anagoni's RS 1800 into 2nd place outright and the first classic home in a time of 11 hours, 28 minutes and 43 seconds. This despite a sticking throttle over the final 3 stages. But without doubt, the team who has dominated this event from start to finish is Waikuku's Brian Stokes and Grant Mara in the invitation entry RS Cosworth Escort in a time of 11 hours, 15 minutes and 41 seconds. So Stokes from Blomqvist, McAndrew and Murray, with Rawstron making it 5. 6th, Dave Strong from 7th placed Englishman Grant Shand. Bruce and Catherine Henty home 8th in the Honda-powered Escort. Gary Adcock struggling home for 9th after a promising start with Ewan Fuge and Mike Gibbs in the RX-3 rounding out the top 10. So the end of an event that celebrates the past great rallies of New Zealand. Like its predecessors, the Silver Fern in 2006 has pitched man and machine against the elements and provided a view few will ever forget. New Zealand has always been held in high esteem in the world of rallying, and this commemorative event only strengthens that view, a celebration of rallying. But perhaps the real celebration is that of the drivers, who get to drive their special cars in a very special part of the world.
Oh yeah, and I tell you, what an adventure, just an amazing experience. One of the best things I've done in my life, I reckon, and I just thank everyone for it that's been part of it. Fantastic.